right about now. Welcome to the DSPN, and this is post-match analysis of Springboks versus All Blacks at Eden Park last night. Very special guests in the studio, all the way in from South Africa, and our man Harry Jones was at Ellis Park when the Wallabies beat the Springboks there. From the Lekker pod, from the 8-9 combo pod, he was at the game last night with us in the media centre. A very special welcome, my friend. Thank you for joining us. And you've got a little support puppy with you there because it must still sting a little bit.
How's it, Marty? I'm happy to be here, but sad about the result. This is a stuffed toy. It looks like some kind of puma jaguar / bat because it has wings. And yes, when I woke up this morning and I knew I had to come here and lick my wounds, I just saw this in my hotel room and I thought, you're coming with me, little fella.
That's appropriate.
Yeah.
Look, we're going to talk about lots. We're going to talk about counter rucks. We're going to talk about aerial battle. We're going to talk about so many mistakes made, 3 tries to 2. We almost blew. We're going to talk about the scrum. Did we do just about enough to deserve that? And we're going to start with a whole bunch of stats as well. But before we do anything of that, I think we've got to deal with the emotion of the event, which is simply as a fan being in that game, that occasion, the importance of it from the All Blacks perspective, may not having beaten you 4 times in a row, which was probably bigger for a lot of us than even the Eden Park thing. Just the result. And I think the All Blacks come out of that saying we deserve to win that game, and we're so thankful that we did.
Yeah, but I belong to the school of thought where whoever wins the game deserves to win the game, right? So by hook or by crook, if you get it along the line and you read the referee correctly, I'm not one of those people who does the, ref bashing as an instinct. So well done, congratulations, and cool. I agree with you. So much was on the line because I felt the angst on both sides. From our side, we wanted to defend our record and say, no, we really are better than you. We are supposed to be number 1 right now. We're not just World Cup performers, and then we fade in the middle. Our old guys are not done yet. We had to hold those things going, our narrative. From your side, just going around the city, around here, I had not reckoned how important the we don't lose at Eden Park thing was, number 1. Number 2, the feeling of we're not supposed to be second best. We're not supposed to lose to Argentina. We're not supposed to be so comfortable with losses. We're a little bit tired of the razor excuses or I'm working on something. They wanted a result.
So important, the result.
Yeah,
really
so we all
important.
went in there, I think, with that same sort of feeling of we don't have incredible confidence. We lost our swagger, both of our teams, in this rugby championship so far. So this was really important. It was classic. And my remark on going into the stadium is it's not an awe-inspiring, intimidating place like you go to some stadiums, maybe in France or in Loftus in Pretoria and the Highveld. Eden Park is somewhat welcoming in the daytime. There's little houses around and trees and flowers. There's no bars right across the way. There's no tough guys intimidating you. It's just really happy folk going in. But when you get inside there, you feel the weight of the mists of history, and you realize everyone comes here to lose. This is the graveyard of dreams.
Oh, yeah.
And so I do think it has a cumulative historic effect. I know everyone tries to put that away. Coaches go, no, it's not about history. It is kind of about history because you're preconditioned that it's going to be a hell of a thing, and then all the 50-50s will go the other way. The home team will win. So, no, I went in thinking that we had our best chance in whatever, since Bismarck. Yeah.
2013. Let's do the stats then. A couple. Possession, 48-52 in favour of you. Territory, 60-40 in favour of you. But this is the stat, 78% in those last 10 minutes. 78-22. That's how much ball you had in those last 10 minutes. And, once you put aside the euphoria of saying, yes, we've won this game, which is fantastic. I mean, it's just such a sigh of relief as much as anything else. You do have to look at it and go, okay, well, what areas are the coaches going to think we need to improve upon? That's probably one straight away, because did the All Blacks, yes, we closed it out, but did we make it a little bit too close for comfort, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's two sides to that. I think we wrestled our way back in. We did the right things. It's true when I watch a game like rugby and I'm on the 50, I'm on the right on the halfway. I'm looking literally there. Most of the time in the second half, I was looking this way. My neck got a little bit of a crick in it. And so it wasn't just one of those idle stats that you look.
That's where the South Africans were playing. Okay?
Yeah, it wasn't an idle stat where you look back and go, I'm not sure that's true. I literally viscerally knew that we were camped out, that you were stuck, that you could not exit, and you were stuck in that kind of mode and you were wanting the clock to move. But at the same time, that came about because of that early blast. Like, it was incredible what happened in that 14-0 lead.
Yeah, the two lightning strikes, weren't they?
So the rest of the game was framed by that. So it was just like, can you march back? Most teams don't. They would fold in that situation, give up the ghost, and it'd just be a black parade. This was a steady march in, even taking threes when maybe people thought we shouldn't, but just keep getting in.
Yeah, you had to get on the scoreboard.
And stop you scoring for a while. Just stop you scoring. Maybe no one scores for a while, even in a march back in. So I think that's a true stat. That is really how it finished. We would have wanted to play 10 more minutes and see what happened. You were thinking, I wish the clock would have gone dead 5 minutes ago.
Happy for it to finish.
The set piece, was getting rewarded. The scrum, that tight head out of the blue. So unusual in modern rugby to get a tight head, because you can feed the ball under your flank.
Well, tell you what, that is the first time all year, and I can't actually remember whether it happened last year, where the All Blacks scrum just got demolished like that, and whether that's a one-off, and it probably is a one-off, but that actually cost us 7 points right at the end.
Right.
And so, look, there are many aspects to the game. Let's start with the counter-rucks, because I know you were big on this last night, and that was the word that was bandied about as well after the Wallabies won at Ellis Park, that after 17 minutes of that game, that just the competitiveness around counter-rucks, they started to dominate there. Their guys got there first. And if you remember, Springboks spent a lot of time down in the 22 there, Harry, but the ball just turned over in the last play or something, right? And there was quite a bit of that last night as well, something very similar.
Yeah, we would have taken 13 entries into your red zone 22 before the game.
It's a great stat, isn't it? Yeah.
You had 5 into ours and you won. So, the efficiency of getting into the 22 and scoring is a metric that coaches always look to. Secondarily, the counter ruck is something where we pride ourselves in the breakdown at magic 3 seconds. Someone is tackled, scragged, brought to ground. Whatever happens the next 3 seconds, we've always thought we're going to win that, because it's mostly about dockyard brawls, like me arm wrestling the Greek here in Auckland on Friday night. We can handle stuff that's crime, pardoned. We can handle stuff that is basically, some form of martial sport. This was interesting because I thought you guys handled that and bullied us to some extent. Simon Parker, Artie Savea, Wallace Satiti. I think even guys like Tupu Vai kind of brought it, that sort of back five. We didn't. We were looked a bit small and a bit weak in those moments. And the problem there is you work your way into the 22, you do all those phases, you have Sasha doing magic. You still have to have someone clean that ruck, get it clear, get your 9 to lift the ball, and Grant Williams just couldn't do it.
No,
so the counter ruck was at 1, 2, 3. You guys
Mm.
came in the second, 1, 2. That's when you came, and it tumbled guys over. Suddenly, Marco van Staden sitting on the lap of Grant Williams while he's trying to lift the ball. He's waving his arms. It's not even illegal. Just it's your own guy getting monstered. I'm thinking, if you devote 3 guys to every ruck like that, why is there not more space? Why are we not able to then peel around, pick and go with Peter Stiff Toy? The problem is we couldn't even get the ball clean, and that's what was so frustrating. And it ended our hopes in the end. Actually, that was the counter ruck was the final act of the game, and it was fitting. I said jokingly, but also morbidly, my man of the match was the counter ruck, Mr. Counter Ruck.
How much more do you think this victory meant for the All Blacks as a team? Just sitting on, the sideline as a fan, of course it meant a lot, because it just starts getting rather wearisome if you're losing 5 in a row to the same opponent, and that includes a World Cup final, and then that includes the Eden Park record. Look, the All Blacks have lost a number of records over recent years, losing to Argentina, losing to Argentina at home, losing to Argentina in Argentina, losing to Ireland in a 3-test series. Let's just put the brakes on losing a whole lot of records. So that's really cool, and that's really important. And I think that's important for this group of players as well. But how important do you think, just generally, for the New Zealand rugby fan to walk around today, Father's Day, with a smile on our face because we won the game? And I think, right at the start of the week, Harry, I said that I thought that we probably needed to win it more, if there is such a thing. I think I know you'll understand what I mean, but that there's just something about the psyche of it as well that I think it really meant something big and important to us to win that game, as opposed to winning the one in Wellington if we'd lost that game.
Yeah, see, I think you asked the pointed questions, Marty. Last night you were at Eden Park wearing the pointiest shoes, and you were asking the pointiest questions. You get right to the essence of it, which is the mentality is that final 1-2% in all these games. We call it chias, which is spirit. You call it mana. I think it's the same thing. What riles you up more? What wakes you up in the middle of the night before the match and you go, I just have to win that. I thought you had more have to. I thought that if we took that away from you, this giant streak, this amazing fact, this ineffable fact that no one comes here to Eden Park and gets joy. If you lost that on top of the other things you just listed, then you start to smell maybe a gentle decline, maybe a steep decline, maybe questions are asked about, what are we? Who are we? So it was essential, I think, to get a result. For the Boks, we smelled a potential, to make you cry, to make you sad, to do something that was unusual. But it was more usual to lose, right? We come to Eden Park, you're supposed to lose, you lose.
Everyone loses.
And so it's almost like you were a big server in tennis and you were going to drop your first game at Wimbledon as on serve. It would be devastating mentally. It's just one game, right? No, but it's devastating if it's the reason why you're going to win is to serve and you get broken. So I think at this stage in the Rugby Championship, you get broken on serve at Eden Park with us not really being the best Boks that we normally are and a lot of, issues. I know you had issues too at 9, but
I thought he played well.
It would have been.
I thought he played his best game for the All Blacks.
That was your question mark, right? It was 9.
I thought he was excellent. Yeah.
And I thought, no, I think
kicking game was so much better. And let's talk about that for a start, because there is so much now box kicking in international rugby. And, if they'd put odds on what was the first play of the game, I mean, box kick probably would have been $1.01, right? And we started doing it right from the off, and then you guys were doing it as well. And I love that stat that says in first phase possession now, Harry, which is scrums, obviously lineouts and kickoffs, you've got to add box kicks to it because it's a contestable. You'd have probably 5 to 1 of those to scrums these days. When William Webb Ellis decided enough was enough, and I'm just sick of this bollocks, and he didn't go and get the ball and box kick it, did he? What he did was he got the ball and he ran, right? And I just wonder whether or not that rugby it'd be nice if it returned to that. I'm not bitching about the game or anything, people, but it's just that I think we all get a bit sick of that, don't we? Just in terms of the purity of the game I'm talking about.
Well, there's some places in rugby that I've gone to where people love and they do a sort of a rising crescendo of the kick. Ooh, and they also root for, I think the Irish do this. First of all, they understand the reason for the box kick, which is basically this. Our big problem in rugby is the problem of lost ball. So you're an attack coach, you're going to be fired, and you're going to tell your wife we have to move to another place. If you always get turned over. And the problem of doing phase ball and running into the teeth of defense that's highly packed and organized is someone's going to already surveil you, and you'll lose it. So in the middle of the pitch, say you're 60 meters out, you're not going to score from there. If you are, you're lucky.
And if you lose the ball, they're probably not going to score from there.
Well, but they could be breakaway from that lost ball.
It's not that often it happens.
Or you kick a penalty over because you're kick a position. So there's certain parts of this, they have a map, and each team has that, a shape of exit, a shape of first phase play, second play. And before you about to wear out and your cleaners are telling you, I don't have another phase, brother, then someone makes a call from 10 or 9 and says, I'll put the ball in front of you, big guys, and I'll let you chase it. And also you might just stand there and rest, because that's also a problem. So I understand the meaning. The box kick works best when it's in a box. Yeah. So you're literally landing it from tram to tram. The touch line is one of your defenders. You've got a guy waiting for a ball with no escorts and no guards and shepherds anymore. We got pinged like 3 times for obstruction. And so
you did.
To me, it's a win-win.
You're right, yeah.
I thought Finlay Christie read it right. I think the reason why you won, Marty, was because of box kicks. Box kicks chewed up all that available, vulnerable time that we would have used to get a penalty and kick it over. It reduced our ability to have Cheslin Colby pick up a ball and go score. It controlled the mayhem, and it made us have to work our way back. So I would disagree in the sense that if you're a responsible attack coach, you have to use this. It's contestable on your terms. Instead of waiting, and then suddenly you're turned over, and then Andre Pollard bangs one over from 55, and then
I was thinking more just about the new viewer to the game who's when
it's weird.
There's nothing pure in rugby and more beautiful than the sweeping movement. Yeah. The back to front, the side to side, and some really gazelle runs through the gap in a way. That's why you watch rugby, isn't it? Or do you watch it for box kicks?
You watch it to win and lose.
Well, and look, again, we go back to the result. This is Harry Jones with us, and we are live here on the DSPN post-match. So much to talk about. Like, I'm just going to ask you some quick questions here, right? Handré Pollard versus Sasha. Now, before this game, I was, I'm painting Handré Pollard red. I've got so much admiration for this player. He's a completely different first five to Dan Carter. He's probably the greatest Grant Fox I've ever seen play, but his cold ass ability to win test matches for his country. It's like there are some cricketers in the world who bat 3 or 4 who are going to Steve Waugh, who are going to hit a century when you absolutely need them to, right? He's that guy to me. Every time he walks on the field, I think you probably got 10 points up because he's going to kick his goals. Well, he missed one last night. His contribution, as opposed to when Sasha came on, and Sasha actually started to make these inroads, and we know he can do that. So was that the passing of the baton there, or am I going way too early on this?
Sasha Feinberg Mngomezulu is a generational player. I look at him as a potential wannabe early, Dan Carter type, in the sense that he can do all the things that Handré Pollard does, but also do the things that Manie Libbok does, and combines them into one package, and also congenial, telegenic, Bishop's boy, so well-educated, my stomping grounds. I think he is the future. In terms of your question, which I think is apt, is where is he in that arc, and where is Handré in that arc? Handré's not that old. He's 31.
He's got another World Cup in him then if he wants,
He's
right?
exactly the same age as sort of a Finn Russell or Johnny Sexton or Dan Biggar when they were at their end.
I think when DC was at the World Cup, at his last World Cup, wasn't he?
So I think the answer is both. And you need different styles. You need different, maybe a pitcher and a starter, close or whatever. You're right about clutch. The NBA has a great stat that they track about how you shoot normally and then in the clutch. So the scores within 5 points and the final 2 minutes, what is your percentage then, right?
That's when it counts, isn't it?
And Handré's, if there was a clutch stat in rugby, he'd be high up there. The kick he missed last night was the first one he'd missed all year. Jamie Wall said,
is that right?
Oh, in tests.
What a great stat that is.
It was 17 out of 17.
There you go.
And then he missed, and I said to Jamie, that was the first one he missed all year. And he checked it. He was like, wow, you're right. So you're right. That's just a foundation. It's cement. It's concrete.
Mm-hmm.
But Sasha offers more, which is he can make you in two minds. What's the point of attack rugby? It's to make the defense hesitate, be clueless, go back on their heels and not know. Sasha makes you not know. Handré, you kind of know what's coming. He does it so well. His kicks are so on the money sometimes. His 50-22 was brilliant. Oh, we lost the line out.
So was Bowden's, by the way.
Yeah, that's 52. But incredible Sasha can do a little bit more. And so where they are in that arc is probably they hit right at 2027 in Australia. You probably think those are the two guys that go onto the pitch. And maybe by that point, Handré's more the closer to make that vital kick. And maybe Sasha's the starter. I think that's where we are right now. Sasha had to bide his time. There were a few things that went wrong. He didn't tell Rassie that he was injured in his knee and played on, and Rassie sort of punished him for a little bit. So now he's back, very fit. I thought the same thing when he came on. Different part of the game as well, but when he came on, it did look like he was putting guys like Quinn Tupaia, Rico Ioane in two minds. And once they freeze, then you get guys like Jesse Creel on the ball and making inroads. Look, all a little too late. Play the game as if you're down to the final 6 minutes, need to score. If you do that all game long, different game.
Look, and just the more you talk about it, the more I keep going back to those last 5 or 6 minutes where it felt like it was a bit like Ireland in that quarterfinal where they just had all this ball and were just phasing and trying to score to win the game, and we held them out. I mean, when the final whistle goes, you always think, we've held them out. But however, if we'd conceded a try then and it was a drawn match, we would have walked away like nut punch. Like that would have just been, we would have walked away sour after that thing.
Totally.
We've kind of thrown away a win here, and you guys would have gone, we've clawed something back.
And when does it ever happen? When have you ever gone up 14-0 in 18 minutes at Eden Park and lost the game? I don't think that exists. I would love someone to tell me and show me. There you go. Anytime All Blacks at home, Eden Park, went up 14-0. We're up 24-10. Forget that. 24-10 with
65 minutes.
No, you never lost a game.
Then, you down to 14 players. So I suppose my long-winded way of the previous question was simply that, now we will get over this in the next couple of days. We'll bask in it for a couple of days, as we should, as we basked in the glory of our Wallaby brothers when they won at Ellis Park. And well, it is, which is also why he's in back in black today. I said, today's not the day you wear your Boca green out on Father's Day. You take it, don't you? Because
tip of the hat. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the other thing we've got to remember here as All Black fans, I'm not telling anyone else what to bloody do, but of course, just in my own mind is that simply you won 4 in a row. You won a World Cup in there as well. We've now nicked one at Eden Park. Great test match. And I think we deserve to win it I think we just did enough to it, especially in that opening 20 minutes. But what really counts now for the All Blacks is to do it again. To go down to Wellington, to do it again, to beat you twice makes it into a bit of a statement. If we square this 1-1, we're kind of back to where we were before Eden Park, aren't we?
Especially because Wellington is one of your spots where you've typically had a couple of drops. I mean, I was there for 2018.
I've watched so many losses
when
it's come from Wellington. It's from Athletic Park to the new stadium. I've watched a lot of them.
It's the shakiest part of the shaky isles, right? And I think the other thing is if you do split, let's say Argentina splits with Australia.
Well, what a test match that was, Harry. Just on that to start with. And I went back and I had the full game on and I watched it fast forward this morning. And that Australian comeback and that decision not to go for the draw, to go for the win, and then to score that try. I mean, they've just had 2 really remarkable wins in the Rugby Championship so far. And we're just sidetracking a bit for a monosecond here, people. But that also, I looked at that and thought, they are now targeting the Bledisloe Cup. I'm not so sure the Rugby Championship's their thing. They're now looking at us thinking, if we can do this to Argentina, come back against a team that just beat the All Blacks up the previous week, 100%. Right?
That's the Aussie brain. They've always
They will. They're starting to get a bit of a,
yeah.
here all of a sudden. No, and they haven't done that for 2 decades.
Much more obsessed by the Bledisloe Cup than the weirdly named Rugby Championship. They've always been, just like between Box and All Blacks, we just want to play each other. We'll call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse to play each other.
Yeah.
But let's say the Wallabies drop to Argentina on a sort of letdown, and let's say that we crawl back in Wellington, and suddenly the Rugby Championship is a 2-2-2-2 across the board. What a weird thing that is. And it sucks the life out of all the elation. You go, oh, maybe we aren't that good. And so everyone's got doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's got some good stuff.
Yeah.
It's up to the Wallabies and the All Blacks now to go ahead and sort of, hold serve and then consolidate the break and get that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I do think we're stuck into a parity land that we're not used to, by the way. Like, rugby has always been a very hierarchical, All Blacks up here, Springboks just below, and then everyone else was down in the unwashed.
See, the great thing about whenever you're talking to anyone who's South African, and I got to stop you there, and they say, oh, it's always been All Blacks up here. So they don't believe it. He doesn't believe that for a second. They've won 4 World Cups to our 3. They beat us 4 times in a row. Come on, they've beaten us twice in World Cups without even scoring a try.
That's true. Look, I'll take my hat off. I'll be serious. We believe that we belong up there with you, and we believe that we have good arguments, but they also depend on doing things like coming to Eden Park and winning. So the bottom line is you still have that over us. We don't have a fortress anymore. We're developing Cape Town. We haven't lost there very much. PE is pretty tough too, but we don't have an Eden Park. It obsesses us, just like the Australians are obsessed with the Bledisloe. We're obsessed with Eden Park. And I came almost like a scientist. I trying to understand, like, is it the hallways beneath? Is it something in the sewage? Is it the way? It's strangely sort of passively, aggressively intimidating, but not in a normal sense. Not when you walk up to like Toulouse somewhere and everyone's banging a drum. It's quiet. You guys are quiet.
Yeah, we are normally. But I thought the crowd was good last night. I thought the crowd actually, that is as loud as an All Black crowd.
But what's with your guy saying, look, we hear your Springbok fans. And then we're going, and then you go, let's hear your All Black fans always showing us up again and again and again. That was terrible, man.
I actually thought, look, one thing about the crowd last night is when I walked into the ground after going to a couple of pubs, and we've got a few more minutes, people, and we thank you so much. Leave us a comment below. Plus, the Lekker podcast, that's the Lekker, the 8/9 combo as well. All of Harry's stuff. And one thing that I'm just very glad of is that the first time that we met in France was the now infamous HRable spa pool interview episode. And so when we came in here, as I said to Lachlan,
I am fully clothed.
Set the couches up. That's all. We just set the couches up. So look, a couple of things before we go. So yeah, it is really important, isn't it, mate, that we're going to have to refocus quickly. And look, I mean, the players are going to. The players know that there is another one. Like, this is like the Ashes playing cricket or whatever it is. You might have won the first one. You got to win the second one as well, okay? That's where you get the roll on. And that's what will give us so much confidence then going into the last, 2 games against the Wallabies, and that's going to be a formidable opponent. All you have to do is watch the way that they have improved since last year. That is a team that can play, and the guts and determination that they had, and the courage to go for that 7 points to win that game when you're down 21-7. Awesome, eh? So we've got a really contestable rugby championship for a start. So that's really important as well. Just finally, the changes that either team are going to have to make, or you think that they will make, because what South Africa can take out of that match is there are so many aspects of it. You look at that scrum, you look at the way that you contested possession in the air, which wasn't that bad, but you actually probably dropped more than you have for a long time. There's little bits where you can go, okay, if we can tighten up this, do this, spend, as you say, 78% of territory down their place for 10 minutes. You've got to think you're going to walk away with 7 to 10 points, right?
Yeah.
You put all of those together. Is that what you think Rusty's thinking?
Fixable things, right? So
there you go. Long-winded way of saying
in
fixable
1 week,
things.
you have some fixable things, you have some optimizable things, you have some remedial things, and then you have things that are too long. They're like a 5-year fix, a 3-year fix. That's personnel depth. I think there are things that are like obviously the method and the shape of the kick chase and the contest that is fixable. The line out is repairable, remediable, optimizable. Scrums are difficult because you just have who you have, and if once I know I can make you squeal, I'm ready to do it again, right? So that's tough. I do think coaches lie to their players all the time and say, look at the final 40 minutes, just absorb that. Look, we were down 1 man and we still did it.
Mm-hmm.
So you trick them. I don't know about the niggles. Both teams looked like they were pretty dinged up. So we have to look at the injury reports to see who can staff back up for the next game. That comes quickly. All those things play into it. But I would say, I was in the room with you listening to Artie Savea talk.
This is what I was going to bring up.
Exuding pride.
There's something about doing this as a job where, Harry, where we get to stand in a room, us two, and there's Artie kind of just like right there with a group of people as you're listening to this guy talk after his 100th test. It's you sit there and you say to yourself, I don't know how I got to be here, but the privilege of being inside this room here is that was big time for me. That was a huge moment to stand there that close to that guy after he's played his 100th test and get to ask a question. Wow.
So yeah, I wouldn't discount that sort of pride and emotion. But here's the thing: why are we in trouble? The Boks this year is we're in two minds. Rassi has identified over about a year that the next winner of the next World Cup won't be the style that we just played. It'll be more Tony Brown ball. So he's brought Tony Brown in, Felix Jones as his understudy as well, and they're trying to do different things. But the result is we're cleaning much wider rucks. We're having a hard time getting our big boys out there, and we're losing the ball at critical times. We're not cleaning the ruck. We lost because of that. We know how to play. We could have played more dour and more stubborn and more like, just big boys from Bloemfontein. We could have done that, right? And I think the game would have been closer, and we would have won.
Yeah.
But that's Rassi saying in 2 years' time, because of the change of laws, influence, and how World Rugby wants to go, we have to play more exciting ball if we have to. So we're stuck in this two wide. We say, what can I change for about a week? We keep changing too much. Personnel, shifts, the loose forwards. And so in a way, to just get a result in Wellington, we might need to be as boring as possible and put exactly the team on that was winning the second half, and then just use the first half guys as the bomb squad and stay big and don't be bullied. And then I think we'll be fine. For the All Blacks, they haven't been in two minds. They've just been sloppy. I feel like the midfield hasn't been very incisive. And the high ball's been sloppy all year for you guys. So what would you rather fix? I think the All Blacks can tighten up a little bit more, and then we can be a little more brutal. So I predict a more brutal, tight affair in Cape Town, with you guys not wanting to spoil your thunder. Already going back to home, I guess that would be cool. And then I think we're going to come in there thinking, stop pushing us around. We're going to go into your backyard and beat you up in front of your kids. That's what we want to do. Yeah.
Second test next week in Wellington. Harry Jones, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed that live stream, people. Leave us a comment on the DSPN, and Tony Johnson will be joining us tomorrow. Tony couldn't actually call the game. Just gutted. He lost his voice.
Yeah.
Got the flu like the day before, lost his voice. He was there at the ground.
He was stricken. I saw him in the ground floor, and he's
poor bugger, man.
He was just getting sick in front of everyone's eyes.
And just like all of a sudden, it just got him. And so Jeff McTain stepped in and did a great job. So Tony will be joining us tomorrow to give us his thoughts. Murray Mixted tomorrow as well. Thank you so much, Haz.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah. We'll take that win every day of the week.